What's going on? You already know. Your boy Bowie's in the building. And so, as you guys watch this footage of me playing Combat League, some news just came out from NetherRealm, wherein on Twitter, wherein NetherRealm announced that they're pretty much done with Mortal Kombat 11. They're not adding any more DLC, no more characters. The game is not getting any more updates. And this video is a reaction to that, along with my synopsis of where I think the state of the game is. So, as far as how I'm reacting, I mean, I have a mixed reaction to this. Because on one end, I'm grateful that NRS finally gave us a definitive answer on, is the game done? You know, I'm glad that we finally know whether we should rightfully expect any more DLC or, any more patches. Because really, the patches are much more important to me than any new characters or storyline DLC. I mean, I would be happy with those as well, but I'm more interested in them, or I would have been more interested in NRS making additions to the gameplay. So I'm happy that we now know what the status of that is. But on the other hand, I'm quite disappointed, to be honest, because even though this game is a terrific game that I will still be playing for years and years, there were so many things that this game needed to have fixed or adjusted. Fatal blows, wake up system, breakaways, flawless blocking when you're plus, or the opponent flawless blocking after your successful poke, and being able to launch you for trying to jail people, which that hasn't happened to me yet, but I'll be upset when it does. Some character balance changes, this game was unfinished from launch. Certain characters and certain things didn't work the way that it appeared as though they were meant to work. And now they're going to remain incomplete. And that sucks. We still have Shao Kahn and Scarlet with all kinds of gaps in some of their most important strings. Meanwhile, characters like Cabal ain't got no gaps. Sub-Zero ain't got no gaps. Jackie ain't got no gaps. But Shao Kahn and Scarlet have gaps. Melina has one damn variation that consists of playtime, command grab, and whatever third move you want, but that third move is probably gonna always be either Air Sai, Air Telly, or what's the name of the move? Rolling Thunder, which you should honestly pick Rolling Thunder because it's a full screen ball roll. But so Melina ain't got but one variation. So the variation system literally doesn't even work for her. And actually the variation system itself needed to be adjusted because you still have tons of useless ass moves and banned moves that are now not going to be adjusted. And that's quite triggering, to be honest with you. And I'm not trying to be funny because RoboCop's on screen. It literally is like, what the fuck? I don't want to be a Debbie Downer or a negative Nancy or anything like that. But like I say, this game was an unfinished product for since the very beginning, honestly. And now it's going to remain unfinished, and I don't quite like that. I think that leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. Because if it's leaving a bad impression on me, someone who actually did enjoy the game, the people that were already like sour about this game are going to be like, wow, so this is how we get treated. I'm never buying an NRS product again, or blah, 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 you know? And so that's not good. That's not a good look. I think NRS needs to, at the very least, put out one last final patch and then be done, where they adjust everything that we ask. Because people have been asking for a change to the breakaway. People have been asking for a change to the wake up system. People have been begging for changes to all those things that I mentioned. Begging for characters' moves to be useful and viable. Because there's just some moves in the game that aren't worth using. And some characters are just hampered by that. Like a character like Raiden, he really has like a viable loadout, honestly. He has to basically he has to use 2 of his resource slots just to be able to combo people. Either for the storm cell thing or for the combination of his low staff and the launcher. So with those 2 in tandem, he needs 2 of his special move slots just to do combos, whereas a character like Sub-Zero only needs 1. A character like Jackie Briggs only needs 1. Fujin only needs 1. All these characters can combo for free. You know what I mean? And I don't like the fact that all that is going to now just be ignored. I'm sort of at a loss, honestly, because it's like this game has so much potential. And you recognize that, especially when you go back and play older NRS titles. Like, I was just recently playing MK9. And I still love MK9 the most out of all the NRS titles. But when you go back and try to play the online in Mortal Kombat 9, it just does not compare. It does not compare to what we have in this game. What we had since launch in this game. When you go back and try to do things in practice mode in the lab in Mortal Kombat 9, it just does not compare to what we can do today at MK11. It just don't compare. Now, say what you will about the combos being lacking and all that in this game or whatever, or the gameplay being quote-unquote boring or what have you, however people want to characterize MK11, at the very least, you have all the tools to do whatever you need. And we've had those tools from the get-go. We have a training mode, a full-ass training mode. We have character tutorials. We have game tutorials for beginners, intermediate, and advanced players, where you get to practice things like flawless blocking. And you practice zoning and getting around zoning and stuff like that. You know, all that stuff is important. And we've had that from the beginning. You know, MK11 wasn't perfect, but in comparison to what we have had, it's definitely a step in the right direction. Multiple steps in the right direction. And I'm only talking about Mortal Kombat because, I don't really fancy the Injustice games too much. Not because anything's wrong with Injustice, but because I'm a Mortal Kombat guy. I'm not really concerned with other fighting games besides maybe Smash Brothers. But when it comes to fighting games, I care about MK. So out of the 3 NRS Mortal Kombat titles, this one is the most complete product out of the box. It's the one that you can play all day and have different modes of play. You can play online for hours. You can step off of online and play towers. You can get out of towers and run around in the crypt if you want. You can get out of the crypt and play either of the 2 story modes. You can get off of that and have your computer bots fight against other computerized bots. And there's modes that I'm leaving out. You know what I mean? And none of the other titles allow you to do all of that out of the box. And none of the other titles allow you to create customized variations of your favorite characters and put them basically in their own costume. Each variation in its own costume. Or the same costume if you prefer. Even if the costumes are, the same 7 or so skins, just with different colors. At least you get 7 skins. Because at MKX, some characters got 2 skins. Or just 1 if they were DLC. If you were a Tremor player in Mortal Kombat X, you got 1 Tremor costume. And that was it. Of course, the variations sort of made moderations or alterations on that costume, but that's all your ass got. Other characters had multiple outfits, but again, some of those outfits were very hokey and looked very, very strange. Like my boy Sub-Zero here. In Mortal Kombat X, his default costume was the best one in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? The Mortal Kombat 3 one looked kind of good, but his pants were really baggy. And so it looked weird. The Revenant costume was pretty cool, but he wasn't wearing a hood in that costume. He had a mask on, but he didn't have the typical Sub-Zero hood, so I didn't care for that. The Soviet Sub-Zero just was not even my bag of tea at all. Just, ugh, you know what I'm saying? And don't even get me started on the quote-unquote Mortal Kombat 3 uniform or the tournament skin. Both of those look hideous in my opinion. So Sub-Zero really only had one costume in MKX that looked worth a damn. But now in this game, you can dress your sub however you want. I fought and lost to a pink Sub-Zero. He was pink and black. Hey, do your thing. Do your thug fizzy. You know what I'm saying? But at least we have that option in this game, whereas it wasn't even present before. And so I say all of that to say that this game has so much potential, and now it's going to leave it all on the table. And it's shameful. It's like being awakened from like a wet dream, honestly. Like right before some cool shit happens in your dream, the punk ass alarm clock just goes off, and now it's like, damn. You know. And so it's disappointing, honestly. But I'll say this. Even though this game is going to leave a lot on the table, I will say that this game, Mortal Kombat 11, is at least 5 times the game that Mortal Kombat X ever was. I don't give a damn what any tournament players have to say. I don't give a damn what the masses that sit there and parrot the opinions of the tournament players have to say. It's just not even close. At least in this game, both you and your opponent have to play a little bit of neutral in order to fight each other. I can appreciate that. Because having to go back and play Mortal Kombat X, the previous title, there is no neutral in that game. The way you play footsies is you stand full fucking screen in Mortal Kombat X, and you have to stop them from running up on you or jumping in on you. And heaven help you, because you are not at the advantage. Oh, this boy was trying to counterpick me. Watch this shit. Watch this shit. I waited till the very last second, and then I picked my character. Mwah, beautiful. It's great when people try to counterpick you, but then you just wait until they can't pick anyone anymore, and then you select your character. It's great. But as it turned out, I didn't need to counterpick him anyway, because watch this. But anyway. So, at the very least, this game makes you play a little bit of neutral. Like right there. In MKX, I would have just already rushed him down and killed him. Now, this person wasn't very good, so he was just going to try to teleport and not use the neutral tools that Noob Saibot has. But Noob Saibot has plenty of things for the opponent to worry about in this space right here. You see? He's got forward 2, forward 2-2. He has back 3. He has the slide. He has down 4 that he could be using. Or could have been anyway. Now he's just getting pressured to death in the corner. Poor baby. Oh, okay. Uppercuts, Jesus Christ. But, you know, this game at least makes you stop and think about how you approach your opponent. And if you're skilled, you can play with the space in between your opponent and make them think about how they need to approach you. Now, do you play neutral in every single match? Oh, hell no. Some characters don't let you play it. Some characters absolutely dominate the neutral. And so you just have to work your way around that. But even with them, a lot of times there's tools and methods to get around this. Case in point, this match I'm about to play now. So this turkey wanted to pick Sindel from the get-go. And Sindel is good because she has very long-range normals that dominate the neutral, like those overheads that this guy barely did. Like, real talk, my opponent right here is not even playing Sindel at the right range. Sindel should be at around match start distance. But because he is inexperienced and just wants to be a combo monkey slash fatal blow thrower outer, he's just gonna get right next to me and low block, whether his character is designed to do that or not. Speaking of combo monkeys, that was my other problem with MKX. You could just be a combo monkey and you could just win lots of matches that way. You know, you learn a simple combo that does a lot of damage. You learn a second combo that starts with a low or starts with an overhead, or maybe those are your two combos. One begins with a low, one begins with an overhead. You know, you learn those two combos and you make your opponent read them and weep in MKX. And if your opponent correctly guesses on the overhead or low, maybe they'll get to punish you, but it's highly likely that they won't, because a lot of overhead and low combo starters were safe in that game. See, look, this boy didn't want to. This boy couldn't deal with zoning. Like, I'm not gonna just let you get next to me, bruh. And they don't know how to handle it. See, but in MKX, people didn't have to deal with that so much. Well, it depended on who you had to play. Like, if you had to fight against a Predator, Predator don't let you play no footsies. Because those lasers of his just... he can just shoot them wherever. And, that wasn't fun. Katana didn't let you play footsies. Shinnok didn't let you play footsies. A lot of characters, man. So either they were pressuring you to death and mixing you to death, or they were throwing highly unavoidable projectiles. So walking back and forth and jockeying for position was just not an option. And I keep sounding like I'm ragging on MKX, and I am, but I do that because in comparison to Mortal Kombat 9, MKX is what red is to purple, you know, on the completely opposite end of the damn spectrum. See, because in MK9, I'm not going to pretend like that game was all about footsies and neutral, because characters like Kenshi and Cabal and Freddy didn't let you play neutral. But at the very least, you didn't just get to run up on people for free. At the very least, you could keep them at distance if you wanted to. And if you wanted to close the space, you could do that as well. And the game didn't force you to play one way or the other. And if you had two characters that both play in that mid-screen, then you just have a good old-fashioned footsie battle. And whoever touched the opponent first got to delete their life bar with these high damage ass combos that MK9 had, and high chip damage and shit like that, you know. There wasn't no footsies in MKX. You just had to run up on your opponent, period, and mix them until they died, thereby robbing them of the chance to play the game. And Mortal Kombat 11, for the most part, doesn't have that problem. Both of you will get to play the game, for the most part. Obviously, it depends on who you pick and who they pick, but even when your opponent's using the best character in the game, or the best top 5 characters, if they don't know what the hell they doing, you can still whoop their ass. You know. Shao Kahn's regular B&B combo, starting from a 9-frame normal, does 40% damage to Jackie Briggs, who is a top 3 character in the game. Actually, all the top 5 characters, with the exception of Liu Kang, all have 950 health, so his basic bread and butter combo will do 40% to every single one of them. And that's a good equalizer. And he has 1100 health. So he not only has way more health than them, his combos do a hell of a lot more damage than theirs do to him. Speaking of Shao Kahn. But yeah, like, and I only mentioned Shao Kahn and Jackie Briggs in the top 5 because Shao Kahn was considered for the longest time to be the worst character in the game. It's hard to know that he is that anymore since his buffs. But even if he's still relatively low, which I think he's still, on the lower end, he still at least has that equalizer of terrific ass damage. And that helps his case against them. Now let's compare that with MKX. I forget who the best character in the game was. Probably Tremor. And the worst character was one of the Boraicho variations. But you're just not playing no footsies against no damn Tremor in that game. He literally has a full screen string that begins with a fast ass high. And when I say full screen string, I'm not bullshitting. I'm talking about you guys can stand on opposite ends of the screen. He begins his string. He travels all the way across the screen and hits you on the other side of it by the time the string is finished. How do you play footsies with a character like that? And this would have been more acceptable if the string started with a really slow normal, like Shao Kahn's forward 2 in this game, but it doesn't. It starts with a fast normal, which is ridiculous. So there's no footsies being played against him. And if you're the worst character in the game having to fight the best one, you're just going to die. Same thing in MK9. Best character in that game was Cabal. Worst character was Shiva. Now, could Shiva do things to beat a Cabal? Yes, she could. There's some meta that Shiva could take advantage of. But that match is at least a 7-3 match, if not an 8-2. So it's terrible. It's a horrible match. But there are no 8-2s in MK11. Not at all. I don't even know if there's a 7-3. There's some hard 6-4s for sure. But 7-3s, I don't think so. You can always mitigate a not so advantageous match in this game by switching out one of your moves or taking advantage of some quirk, And so to that end, Mortal Kombat 11 is superior to its predecessors. And so I still do enjoy this game. I'm still going to play this game. Yes, it still has problems. fatal blows, breakaway, wake up, flawless blocking, variations, useless moves, that kind of thing. Those are some of the main ones. But even with all those issues, and even with those issues now being in a state of perpetual unresolvedness, this game is still a big step forward. And so I'm grateful for that. I really am. But you know, that's actually about it, because that was the end of my little soliloquy. So with that being said, I'm gone. Bye bye.